Hello, you lovely lot, and welcome back to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. I am your host, as always, Josh Carr, and I've got another guest. I have a guest every week. I don't know why I always sound so shocked, but I've brought another guest, and it's a great one. Someone who's returning to the podcast, but this time gets their own proper episode, all about them. So let's flex the ego of Beth Axford. How are you?
Hello, that was that's such a nice introduction. Yeah, it's all about me this time.
It is. It's all about you.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. Thank you for having me. I'm still I'm so excited about your shelf again. I remember last time just being like, you have the best shelf situ going on.
I have not hidden anything this time. I know that when we were doing Flux, because it's been nearly a year since you were on, which is crazy.
I know, that's gone so fast. I can't believe it.
There's not really anything hidden on my shelf. There's one thing that I've taken off my shelf, which we will get to later, which may have been written by a certain someone, which is very exciting. It's your book, by the way. So,
like, what are you talking about?
You're like, ooh, what is it? It's your book. It's your book. So Beth is joining me to chat all about Doctor Who, as we do every single time we do one of these podcasts. But before we get into the episode proper, me and Fettin, Mary Fets from TikTok, did a very in-depth discussion about the Centenary last week. So we won't go too in-depth this time, but I wanted to ask you one question because it's coming up. We don't really know a lot yet. One, are you excited? And I did have another question, which is a strange one, because everyone always says, what do you want to see in the Centenary? I wanted to ask you, what do you not want to see in the Centenary?
Oh, yes, I'm excited. I'm so excited. And actually,
Good.
I think having Doctor Who on at this time of year, I was just saying to my housemate and my boyfriend, I'm so happy that it's on at this time of year because it's like the coziest time. And I think Jodie's era really reminds me of like autumn, winter kind of coziness.
Yes.
So I'm excited. I'm just really excited about it, and I'm so like I can't wait to see how they include Tegan and Ace. Like, what is the wrap up for the Doctor and Yaz's story? I'm terrified about it though, because I think I'm going to be inconsolable. I think I'm not going to be able to. I don't think I'm going to be able to function. But yeah, what do I not want to see? That's a very good question. I don't want to see too much fan wank, but
Well,
it depends, because obviously, like, I really loved all the stuff they did in series 12 with like returning characters and everything. I think Signal did it the right way. And obviously with bringing Ace and Tegan back, like I'm hoping that it's in a way that like gives them a fresh story and it actually adds to the plot rather than them just being there for the sake of being returning. Like I hope that it's like for Yaz to be able to see a life after the Doctor, or for Yaz to maybe have the realization that life with the Doctor isn't forever, and the Doctor keeps telling her we can't do this, and maybe Tegan and Ace will help her realize that that's true. So yeah, I don't want to see it be too uncomfortably fan wanking.
No, fair enough. I think that's a lot of people's worry is like you're bringing back these two beloved characters, like use them right, like don't just bring them in. As much as we all want to see Ace run around in the jacket with a baseball bat, like we do a little bit, but actually do something with them. But I so get what you mean about Jodie and those like autumnal vibes, like just Sunday nights, like full of a roast dinner, just lounging on the sofa in my pajamas, and then Doctor Who comes on. Just gives me those vibes.
And her era is mostly because I guess series 9 also aired at the end of the year, but I don't really get that from series 9, to be honest. I get I think because series 11 and Flux both aired at the end of the year, and I feel like both of them have quite autumnally episodes in them. Like in my head, Arachne's in the UK and the Witchfinders feels really Halloweeny. Like both, even though they're quite far apart in the series, both feel really Halloweeny. And the same with Flux. Like Flux feels really maybe because of the Halloween apocalypse. Do you know what I mean? So all, with Jodie's era, I just like associate it with comfort and like you say, like
I'm exactly
sitting down under a blanket after eating loads of food and just
That's why I think Doctor Who should stay on a Sunday.
Yeah, I do think
people did not like me when I said that, but I think it should stay on a Sunday. I love it on a Sunday.
Yeah, because I don't like I don't go out that much, but Saturday nights I'm more likely to have plans than Sunday nights. So like I just feel like I'd
Exactly.
rather it be on a Sunday, and it's a nice way to end the weekend, like when you have all your friends around to watch Doctor Who, or just we normally do like watch parties and stuff. So
Yeah.
being able to have people around on a Sunday night, it's just like a nice way to end the weekend. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you should say on Sunday too.
Well, solidarity. I love it.
Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen, but
Yeah. Who knows?
or who knew?
Who
Sorry.
knew? I love. No, I love it when people make the who knew joke. I mean, we're here to talk about you, so let's start with the very start. Doctor Who. How did you become a Doctor Who fan? Because I love hearing these stories,
Yeah.
and I love it when there's out of the box ones. But I do also love that old favourite of I started in 2005 with Rose, like me. So where did you begin?
Mine was weird actually because I became a fan. I'd seen it. I remember really clearly because my mum, I didn't have a dad growing up, so my mum was a single mum, and like I would always stay at my auntie's, my great auntie's, on weekends. Like literally every weekend, I would always be there most of the weekend. And I remember seeing the ending of Aliens of London, where the Slovene pinning that guy up against the wall. Like I remember seeing that. I think my auntie just put it on because there's nothing else on TV, and I was like, "OMG, what's this?" And then just like probably forgot about it. I didn't know what it was, but I remember being like, I was like reading something, and I looked up and was like, "Oh my god, what's happening? Like, what's going on?" And then I don't think I ever watched the second part or anything. And then Parting of the Ways aired, and again, I was at my auntie's house, and I remember watching Parting of the Ways, or at least the latter half of it. And then I was like, oh, I like this. I don't know what this is. I like it. And I remember cutting out a bit about it from her TV magazine. And then I put it with my other stuff at her house and then forgot about it again. Literally like left my brain. Didn't even remember what it was. And then in
Right.
2006, I was walking home with my mum from school and we went into like a corner shop, a little bit like the one from Flux where the Centenary eat all the chocolate.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You can have a magazine." Like, so that was a real treat for me, like, because obviously she was a single mom with not a lot of money. So like, she was like, "As a treat, we'll get you a magazine." And I picked out of all of the magazines, and this shop had a lot of magazines, like like wall to wall WH Smith type
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
a lot of stuff. And for some reason, I picked out the sticker book, the Doctor Who series 1 and 2 sticker book, and
Yeah.
I took it home. And I can't remember whether I knew that I'd already seen it on TV, made the connection, and then chose it, or whether I just chose it because it looked cool and took it
Yeah.
home. Literally don't know, because I feel like I maybe must have made the connection, because I don't know why I would have picked it up out of everything else. And took it home, read it like cover to cover, was obsessed with collecting all the stickers. And I was like, now I must make an effort to watch this, because in the end of I think it covered series 1. And then I think up to like Age of Steel or something, it was only the first bit of series 2 that it covered. So then I was like, oh my God, like I need to watch this. This is the next episode that's on. Oh, it might be School Reunion. And then I remember that Saturday, I was like, okay, now I'm sitting down for the first time to watch Doctor Who. And I think it was School
Yeah.
Reunion. That was like my first one where I was like, this is Doctor Who. I'm going to sit down and watch it. And then I did. And then never stopped watching it.
Oh my god, that's a great story. I love that, and I love that the sticker book was what a niche little
Yeah.
bit of Doctor Who history to
Yeah,
reel you
right?
in.
And actually, I do
love
always
it.
say that it was the sticker book that got me into it, because I really don't remember those other bits very well. So I'm
Yeah,
always like, if I didn't get that sticker book, it wouldn't have really happened.
yeah, I loved that sticker book, and I was only reminded of it recently when I believe a mutual friend of ours, Jared Groves,
Yeah.
brought an envelope full of stickers to the BFI and gave me them, and
Yeah.
I was just absolutely swooning over those stickers. I was like, "Oh my god, this is the nostalgia."
Yeah.
But yeah, oh, I loved those sticker books growing up.
It's like it was so. I have it at my mum's somewhere because I don't think I ever finished it, but it was really close. And Gerard came to my party a couple of weeks ago and brought me some of them, and they were all like Rose related ones. And I was literally like, oh my god, these are so cool! Like, why don't they do sticker books anymore? Because I would, if I like as an adult, I would still happily do a Doctor Who sticker book.
Yeah, I can't do sticker books anymore because they just drain me of all of my money. Because I used to do I used to do World Cup sticker books as well, and oh my god, I used to spend so much money. So I mean it's a lovely way to get into Who, and I'm also intrigued as to how obviously it's safe to say it's snowballed from there. and it's now very intertwined with your life. You know, there's a lot of different Doctor Who projects that I know of. There's probably more that you've worked on over the years. Like off the top of my head, you know, Time Team in Doctor Who magazine, which shamefully I have never read because I've never actually owned an episode of Doctor Who magazine. Isn't that really weird?
I don't think that's weird. I think it's
Is it not?
the thing is, when we were younger, and I think I started buying Doctor Who magazine in 2006, and I was like, oh, it's a bit old for me, but I'm going to buy it anyway. And I have always had it since then, but it worked better before the internet, you know, like before I was chronically
Yeah.
online, and unless
Yeah.
they're given exclusive stuff all the time to make it worth buying, I don't really know how. Like, it depends what the content is, really. Like, if they have like a 6-page interview with Jodie, that wouldn't be online. That, you know, it's hard. It's hard to make a magazine, I assume, when everything's already on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't really blame you for not buying it because you can get everything you find anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of passed me by. I was such a Doctor Who Adventures obsessive, and I have my mum has in a box at home, which is like the other side of the country, has in a box like apparently mint condition, like 100 issues of Doctor Who Adventures that I need to go through, and I want them all because I'm so intrigued as to the kind of random shit I would have written in there as well.
Yeah,
as a
and all the
kid.
games you would have completed
All
and
the
stuff.
games, yeah. I mean,
I'm jealous. I'm
so
I
excited.
remember
I really
throwing
want
mine
them.
out when I got to my teenage years. I literally remember throwing them out, and I kept, I think, a couple of special ones. Like, I think the first ever issue I got, maybe a couple more, and I remember getting rid of them, being like, I need to get rid of some stuff. Because I was such a Doctor Who collector when I was, I mean, always, but especially when I was younger, I had too much stuff and I needed to get rid of some of it. And I was like growing up and stuff, and I thought it would be helpful. And now I'm really devastated that I don't have them anymore. So you should do that. You should get them and make a video or a podcast
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
I've got a box of old Doctor Who stuff that my mum brought last time. That's got like my remote control K9, a load of figures. I've been meaning to go through it for ages. And as well as that, you've done loads of other Doctor Who related things. I love some of your articles that you've done for Radio Times as well. They are so good. I was reading another one of them today, which was about the historical figures, the female historical figures in Jodie's era, which is a lovely article, and everyone should check it out. I actually have a question relating to this. What female historical figures that haven't been in Doctor Who yet would you want to see explored in the show?
Oh my God. Actually, I do have one. And so I don't know if you've heard of it, but there was a play on in the West End, what year was it? 2019, and it was called Amelia. And it originally was in Shakespeare's Globe, and then they moved it to a theatre on the Strand. I can't remember which one it was called. And it was basically about this woman who was Shakespeare's like muse or like lover. I'm going to explain this really badly because I can't remember it very well. But the whole play is about how she did a lot of work and a lot of poetry and a lot of, I think, some of Shakespeare's work, and he got all the credit for everything. I'm going to explain this really badly. I just want to quickly Google her because I don't want to get it wrong. But basically, I want to see, I really want to see Doctor Who do that.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something about the way the Doctor Who has done historicals in Jodie's era, particularly, has been so good, because having learned a lot more about history than I knew when I was younger, rewatching some of New Who's historical stuff and seeing the way that they treat historical figures that aren't actually good people.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that Winston Churchill is glamorized, monarchs and stuff. Whereas in The Witchfinders, for example, the monarchy isn't as glamorized, and they actually, do you know what I mean? Like, and so I feel like I would like Doctor Who to cover stories that aren't necessarily the same as what they've been doing throughout Chibnall's era, but cover, you know, you've already glamorized Shakespeare and stuff, but what's like the truth behind that?
Yeah.
So her name was Amelia Bassano, and she was a poet, and she was speculated to be William Shakespeare's Dark Lady. People think that she, like, some of the his sonnets were about her. and her story, and basically like she wrote a lot of her own poetry and a lot of her own stuff, and her story's sort of been like erased from history almost. So I'd like to, because I guess that's the thing, right? We hear a lot about like a lot of, especially before Chibnall's era, we hear a lot about historical men, but not necessarily like who made them who they were, or like, do you know what I mean? Like it's very much just glamorizing them as a person. So yeah, I would like Doctor Who to do Amelia Bassano. I just think that I've explained that well enough.
That's great. Well, it's someone I've never heard of them, and I feel like sometimes they're the best historicals is when you have no idea because you get the education from the show, and that's lovely. Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be great. I've been listening today to a very Shakespeare heavy Big Finish, Time of the Daleks, which is it's weird. I think basically I think Nick Briggs said I want to do the Daleks reading Shakespeare, and then they just built a story around that, which is great because hearing the Daleks doing Shakespeare is very, very funny. So I do recommend it if anyone's listening. But her inclusion would have made it a lot better, if I'm honest. We've gone off on a few tangents, but I was careering towards your career and your projects that you've worked on regarding Doctor Who over the years. Like I said, there's so many to talk about, and we could be here for ages. But there's one in particular that we have to talk about, which is a very, very new project, which I'm very excited about. Because I've got it right here, and I want to get it out.
I've got one too. I don't know why, because I knew you'd have one.
Yes, we've both got it. So this is the Doctor Who quiz book by this up-and-coming author, Beth Axford. So you've written a book.
It's so cool seeing someone else holding it, honestly.
Is it? It's got pride. I tell a lie, because this hasn't been on my shelf, because it's like barely been at my hand, because it's been on my bedside table.
That's so nice.
Because I've been just doing quizzes before bed every night. Because I'm a big nerd. And that's who this book is for, is big old nerds. And it's a wonderful, wonderful quiz book. Tell us about this and how this came about, because I'm very intrigued.
Well, this is so, like, honestly, it kind of came out of nowhere. I went into this year with like 3 resolutions for the year, and I was like, these are 3 things that I want to happen this year. One of them was to get a book deal or do a book, and I wanted to do a Doctor Who book. And this is not how I expected it to happen. This literally came to me, and an editor approached me and was like, we're looking for a Doctor Who writer. And obviously, like, throughout the year, I had been like trying to put myself out there for more writing stuff, so that I could kind of get more experience, and because I really did, like, my next goal in life was to do a book. That's why I was doing the Radio Time stuff and pitching different places and things like that.
Yeah. And
she approached me and was like, I think this was literally the day before I went to Liverpool to do the Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder exhibition and review it for the Radio Times. So it was like a crazy week. And she was like, we're looking for a writer. We want to do a Doctor Who book. Would you be interested? And I was like, yes. Yes, please. And then she was like, well, we want it to be a quiz book. We also want to have like games and stuff in it. Can you do it? How would you do it? And it was like, I was the first person on their list, and it wasn't a case of like, we'll interview you and see if you could do it. It was just like, we want you to do it. So that was really nice, because it's like someone just came to me and had faith enough in me that I could do it. Which I think with these type of places, because it's like a class is like a commercial book and it's for Christmas. So I think occasionally publishers and people at these publishing houses will look at trends. So they see like Doctor Who's trending, Shooter Get Wise the Doctor, there's a special on in October, the 60th anniversary is next year. And then they go out and they look for people who is a writer, who is someone that like has an audience of Doctor Who followers on Twitter or anything like that. And that's sort of how they find people. So that's how they reached out to me. And they were like, you're a writer, aren't you? Like, you have writer in your bio, and we've seen on your LinkedIn that you've got all these things that you've written. Like, can you write this? And yeah, so she was like, how would you do it? You know, lay it out for me. Like, how would you make this as a book? So I was kind of like, okay, well, I think they told me how many chapters they wanted and like how many words the book would be. and I literally had 6 weeks to write it. So it was like a very, very small window of time. Like normally you get like a year to do a book. So it was like a very, very small window of time. And I just kind of did like a chapter breakdown of how I would do it, because I think it's quite easy with something like this to just be like, oh, we'll do it in doctor order. Like we'll do a section per doctor or a section per era or something like that. I don't think that's the most successful way to make a Doctor Who book, because if you're a person that hasn't seen Classic Who, or you've only seen a bit of it, you're going to skip straight to the chapter with your Doctor in it, or your bit of Doctor Who that you've seen. So if you're like a new Who person, you might open that book and skip the first 8 chapters if it's all Doctor based. So I was like, I would rather do it as categories of things. If you're a Cyberman fan, you're more likely to know about Cyberman episodes you haven't seen. Do you know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah.
Like if we kind of split it up by like themes and characters, there will be something for everyone in each chapter, and people can also learn, and then they don't have to like skip whole chunks of the book. They can kind of, do you know what I mean? So I thought that was like a more accessible way to do it. So I think like the first chapter is like the Doctor's many faces. It's like about the Doctor and like the actors that play the Doctor in each incarnation. And then later on in the book, you've got like Gallifrey and the Time Lords. There's a behind the scenes chapter. And then I think my favourites were like, we've got Earth invasions, planets and worlds, historical adventures, future travels. It's kind of like more general, so he doesn't really close anyone off. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good. It's really, really good. Like,
Thank
it's really,
you.
really
I'm
fun.
so glad that you enjoy it, because I actually haven't really had anyone's. Loads of people have it now, and my friends have kind of looked at it, but I haven't had anyone's like solid opinion of what it's like as a cohesive thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a big old book as well, and the fact that you turn this around in like 6 weeks is insane. Yeah, it's hard. It's got a great knock.
It really does.
But yeah, the fact that you turn this around so quick is insane. Absolutely insane. So obviously, I haven't worked my way all the way through it yet. Who knows?
It's quite a lot.
Maybe the second half it really tails off. No, I'm joking. But it's so much fun. And as someone as someone with ADHD, quizzes really calm me down. I don't know if that is an ADHD thing or if I'm just a bit weird, because I'm quite new
it's
to
a mindfulness thing.
Yeah, I mean,
you need to switch off.
Yeah, and like me and my girlfriend do quizzes all the time, but also as she's not a massive Doctor Who fan, it's very hard for her to quiz me on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
When most of the quizzes that you find online are, what does TARDIS stand for? And it's like it just ends there, and there's no like progressive.
Yeah.
Like
that question is in the book, but in the really
that's
easy
fine. I mean, it's got to be in the book. It's got to be in the
Yeah.
book. But you know, it doesn't progress from there. It's sort of like you get to the last question. It's like, who played the Ninth Doctor? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know all this. I want challenge me. And the fact that there's so many questions in this as well means that this is just hours of fun. I'm gonna be so cruel, because you're also going to be the first guest who's been quizzed every time they've been on the podcast. Because Quiz Chibnall was a thing when you were on here.
Oh,
Quiz Chibnall sort of phased out. Let's temporarily bring back Quiz Chibnall.
Okay.
Because I'm going to quiz you from your own book, and I'm just going to give you a few questions.
I'm scared.
I was going to say pick a page, but you did write it, so you might remember the page numbers.
I don't, trust me. I had no say in what page numbers.
Pick a number. Pick a number.
Oh God, how many pages are my book? 111.
111. Right.
I'm scared. It could be, well, I just want to say as well that the thing that I most loved about it and love about it is that it's not just a quiz book. So you have 2 or 3 facts in every chapter about the theme of the chapter.
Yes.
You have an introduction to every chapter, which I basically got to just like bang on about how amazing that particular thing from Doctor Who was and like what it means to people. That gave me the chance to like really express my voice and how and like what I felt about Doctor Who as well. Yeah. There's an introduction to the book, and there's also stuff like there's games, word searches, and my favourite thing, which was like personality quizzes. So there's a which companion are you quiz, there's a which incarnation of the Master are you, there's even a crossword of Rassilon, I think. Yeah, there is.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Well, I've gone to the nearest to 111, which is 112, with a question on it. I'm just going to ask you the 3 questions on this page. So
I'm scared.
it's about the Master. This is the Master section.
This was my least favourite chapter to write. This and the Cybermen.
Well,
it's okay. I'm gonna try.
This is gonna challenge you. Thankfully, I think I know the answers, so I don't have to read it around in the back of the book. So it's fine. Let's hope I do anyway. Question number 1. The Master has been the Doctor's frenemy on screen for over 50 years. In which episode are we first introduced to the character?
Oh, fuck. What are the answers then?
You also can't complain that this is rigged because you wrote the questions.
I wrote this and I feel like I know the answer, but because I like put so many. Is there multiple choice for this one? Is it?
This one is not multiple choice. No.
Oh my god! I've just completely like forgotten. Is it Spearhead from Space?
It's not.
What is? Why is my brain? My brain is like switched off. I literally can't remember. What is it?
Do you want me to say?
Oh no, it's Oh my god, what's it called? Oh my god, it's gonna really annoy me because I've got it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember.
T.
Like it's gone. It's just gone. Oh, what is it? Oh my god, I don't know. I literally can't remember. This is so bad because I did so much research, and I feel like the amount of research I've done, my brain has just gotten rid of it because it's too much.
You've just malfunctioned. I think if I had to write a Doctor Who quiz book in 6 weeks, I would delete every bit of Doctor Who knowledge from my brain. So I think it's fair enough.
That's really annoying. Why can't I remember? Yeah, I can't remember.
It's an of the title. It's a something of the something.
Literally forgotten all episode. Oh, is it? No, can't be that. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing now. Can you tell me?
Terror of the Autons.
Oh, I knew it was an Autumn one.
Oh, you did. You were close. You were very close. To be fair,
I'm pretty not close now. That's really embarrassing. Enough.
You can pull this back. I think 2 out of 3 is fine. Over the years, the Master has teamed up with many a villain to help them take down the Doctor, or worse, the universe. Which enemy did the Master ally with during survival? Is it A, the Cheetah People, B, the Cybermen?
Yes,
it's the Cheetah People. See, you got that one. So
God, I literally can't believe I got that first one wrong. Like my brain just went blank.
We can pull this back. It's fine. We can do this. This just shows how challenging this book can be. Mentally,
that is not a very challenging question. Well, maybe it is. I think the thing is, like, especially with classic Who, I find it hard to retain as much information about it. Like New Who, I could tell you anything, but because I haven't watched every classic Who episode over and over and over, my brain doesn't remember it. Like apparently, I only remember Doctor Who things unless I've binged it loads of times.
I'm the same. I'm very good with episode titles. That's probably one of my only things that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But if you ask me what happens in like part 3. I'm gone. I cannot remember. I can give you a loose outline. Your last question, which I don't want to put any pressure on you. I think is make or break.
Oh, I'm scared.
Which incarnation of the Master gave Clara Oswald the Doctor's phone number in order to manipulate? It's Missy. Yes, there we go.
Sorry, I just jumped in and I let you finished.
No,
do you know what? This was so embarrassing because at my party, Gerard Groves was like, "I'm going to challenge you on your own quiz book." Like basically, I got all of my friends to do like rounds against each other from my book, and Gerard was like, "I want to do one against you," and then we did it, and I got every single one right, and like before Gerard on all of them, and like won the round, like literally all of them. And I'm really annoyed that I didn't get that right now because I just wish you could have all seen me at my party.
I'll just cut it. It's fine.
You
got 3 out of 3.
Fine. I think it goes to show though, because while I was making the book, I was so scared that it was all going to be too easy. But I think it just goes to show that like no matter how well you like Doctor Who, when you're put on the spot,
it's all gone.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like not only is it a memory test, but it's also like your brain might go blank or you might not remember it. Like
Exactly.
So hopefully people won't find it too easy.
It's definitely not, and this is absolute buckets of fun. And I'm gonna go full salesman now. It's perfect for Christmas. It's a perfect Christmas book. please just I'll allow you a little pluggy segment now as I hold the book up to the camera, because I forgot to write it down. When is the book out, and where can you get it?
It is out on the 13th of October, so a week from now, but you're probably going to put this out near the time. So it's out on the 13th of October, and you can buy it. This is an exclusive, actually, because I haven't said this before anywhere, but it's going to be in Asda. So Asda, I'm going to sell it at like 270 of their stores. So it's going to be at Asda. It's going to be at Forbidden Planet. It's going to be at Waterstones. It's going to be in the Works. So it's going to be in a lot of shops and online on Amazon and everything as well.
That is amazing. That's incredible. Your book on the shelves. How cool is that? That is so
It's going to be
cool.
weird going into a supermarket and seeing it, because that's where I used to get all my books when I was a kid. So
yeah, and now you're one of them, and now you're one of the books, and also lovely cover. The cover is beautiful.
Yeah, it's so cute, isn't it?
Absolutely
And their design team is amazing, and they were like, "What should we put on the cover?" They wanted to put 5 Doctors on the cover, and I was like, "I think we should just do Tom Baker, David Tennant, Jodie Whittaker." And then they were like, "No, we're going to do 5." But then when they actually sent it to me, they only did 3. I think they just put the other 2 on the back.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, so I think it's good though, because I think it represents 3 different, I feel like the most popular eras, right? Like we've got David Tennant, Baker, who everyone's favorite Doctors, and then current era. So yeah, I really love it. I love the cover.
I love it, and yeah, I mean, I think this episode. It'll be out either around when this episode comes out or within a couple of days. So please go out and buy it or pre-order it if it's not out yet, because it's great fun. It's great fun. Now, we've got a couple of features to attend to. The first one being, instead of a collection of quiz questions... I don't know where I'm going with this. Instead of a collection of quiz questions,
that was good.
It's a collection of stories from Doctor Who, and it's the DVD collection.
By the power of Grayskull.
The Unicorn and the Wasp, or Love and Monsters.
Which one do you think I'll prefer?
No, I mean, which one do you want to watch first?
You are pulling my leg.
So, for those who don't know, the DVD collection is a collection of stories of quintessential Who that means something to my wonderful guests, and we have a new one submitted each week, and this week is no different. So Beth, what story would you like to submit to the DVD collection?
I would like to submit the Witchfinders to the DVD collection.
That is a cracker. That is I did a big New Who rewatch last year, and it became a bit of a thing on Twitter. I would sound the underrated banger klaxon. I am sounding the underrated banger klaxon, because
absolutely,
Witchfinders is a great story. So what made you want to pick it?
So I'm also want to rewatch. Unfortunately, it's taken me a year to do this because I'm doing it with my housemate and my partner, and like none of our schedules ever match up. So we started series 1 last August, and we had just got to Spyfall. We had a big break at some point to watch Christmas films and stuff, but I chose the Witchfinders because there's loads of Doctor Who episodes that are like really like considered maybe not so good, or like really niche ones, or like ones that are my favourites. And when I was doing the rewatch, I discovered loads of like gems I just hadn't really thought about as much before. And Witchfinders was one of those, in that I loved it when it aired, and I've loved it ever since, and I've read the Target novel a few months ago. But we got to it, I think, last week, and we watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this might be one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who. It's certainly my favourite from Jodie's era. I might reevaluate that once I finish the rewatch, but it's my favourite from Jodie's era, and it's just, I just was watching it, I was like, I think this might be one of my favourites ever. It's got everything that I like about Doctor Who in it. So I think also when I finished it and I was reading on TARDIS Wiki, found out that it was the first Doctor Who episode since Enlightenment to be directed and written by women, and I think you can really tell. I think you can really tell with the way that it's handled, and the way that the storyline of it being the witch trials is written is so, it's just like, you can tell that it's written by women, and I think it's just got everything. I love historical Doctor Who stories. I like that they approached the monarchy in a way that didn't like glamorize it. I loved I love the sets and the locations. I just think it's just like a perfect cozy little Doctor Who story, and I think it addressed a lot of what you kind of want Doctor Who to address if the Doctor becomes a woman, in a way that you could just not do this story you couldn't do the story in the same way with any other Doctor. It just wouldn't work. Like this is the only Doctor that would be put on a ducking stool. Do you know what I mean? So I love that. And I thought that like everybody had a lot to do. Like Yaz's storyline is really good in that episode where you start to see that she's been bullied as a kid, and you see like I love how in every episode of series 11 you get her police training coming out, and she's just like full on policewoman mode. And you have the storyline with Ryan and King James. And Graham being the Witchfinder General, like that whole thing about the Doctor not being able to be the Witchfinder General and stuff like that. It's such an interesting dynamic, and I just think it's such a good Doctor Who story. I love Joy Wilkinson's writing. I just really loved it. I got to the end of it and I was like, this is one of my favourite stories. I love this.
Yeah, it's so cozy, but it's grim. It's very grim actually, but I don't know why the grimness is so cozy. But I think that's the one story for me that typifies that like autumnal feeling that we were talking about earlier. That's just the coziness that it's very. I also get like big like classic Who. It gives me like big like 80s historical vibes, like Peter Davison era, like The Awakening and things like that. Yeah. There's some really those vibes there. I love it. And King James, it's one of the best supporting characters we've ever had in Doctor Who. Alan Cumming chews everything in that. My God, so
and
good.
It's so nice to have a Doctor Who story that is about a monarch, but it isn't just like lol, OMG, it's like the Queen or the King. Like it's literally like they're there to show actually like the brutality of the monarchy and like I feel like, you know, we love seeing Queen Elizabeth or Queen Victoria or Winston Churchill or whatever, but seeing these leaders in a way that's just like OMG, the Doctor's Bessie May or the Doctor's enemy or whatever, like it doesn't ever really like it's never peeled back that kind of what Doctor Who should actually be doing is educating people on what these monarchs did, you know, and like showing that. I found that really, really interesting, and I just really love that story.
I love it, and the Target novel is just even better. Good. It's just so good, so good.
Definitely going to reread that soon.
Yeah, I would love to, and I only finished it last week, so yeah, it's a banger, absolute banger, and that means within about a month, Jodie at the beginning of like September or August had no stories in the DVD collection, and now she is skyrocketed with 3 in 3 episodes.
I think everyone's going back and rewatching and reevaluating now.
Must be. Well, yeah, we've gone from nothing, and now we've got Spyfall, we've got Fugitive. I can't say it. I can't. Fugitive of the Jadoon, but it is really hard. Fugitive of the Jadoon, and the Witchfinders, which is a lot easier to say.
Yay!
So wonderful, and it's great to celebrate Jodie because she's about to pop off. So it's a shame. I'm sad too. So that was the DVD collection. Great pick, and we are coming close to the end of the show. We're gonna squeeze in some Twitter questions from that fiery hellscape, bloody Twitter.
For God's sake! Bloody Twitter!
So, first question from Jack at @an_awful_Jack, friend of the show, host of an awful lot running podcast. He said, brilliant guest. So looking forward to getting my grubby big hands on Beth's Doctor Who quiz book, then utterly failing worse than I would at the quiz of Rassilon. Me not smart, is what he said.
Me neither, apparently.
Yeah. He's also said, Beth, what's your favourite question in the book? And what is your favourite answer in the book?
Oh, if I say an answer that's going to give something away. My favourite question... Oh my God, that's so hard because there's literally like over 200 questions, I think, in the book. Actually, there is a favourite question because I it's like personal to me. So when I was a kid, so I mentioned earlier that I used to stay at my auntie's every weekend, and that's how I saw Doctor Who the first time. So when I was a kid, she always took me to Arundel Castle, and like her daughter lived in Littlehampton, so that whole area I kind of went on holiday all the time, like every year with her. And I didn't really go on holiday a lot with my mum, so we would kind of go there. And she took me to Arundel Castle a couple of times, and she basically passed away in 2015. And I was like, I really want to go back there because it reminds me of her, and I just kind of wanted to experience it again. And while I was writing the book, I found out that they filmed Doctor Who there, and I didn't know. So I did a question, I can't find it, which I'm spoiling a question in the book now, but the question is basically which Doctor Who story is filmed at Arundel Castle. So that's one of my favourite ones because it's quite
I don't
personal.
know the answer.
I recently went there for my birthday, but well, not for my birthday. I was going there for my birthday to spend time where she'd taken me. But it kind of was really fitting because it was Doctor Who's 25th anniversary story, and it was my 25th birthday.
I know. Now I know.
Yeah,
the
you know what it is. And it's a really cute story. Like I don't think a lot of people like it, but I just thought it was a really fun story. We visited some of the locations, so I wrote that kind of like to get a reference to her in the book without anyone really knowing,
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. That really, really is lovely.
My favourite answer, one of my chapters that I really enjoy doing is Defenders of the Earth, because it's basically like it's like a spin-off chapter, but it's including Unit, so it covers Unit, Torchwood, Sarah Jane, Class, and Redacted. And the answer that my favourite answer is. This is going to ruin the question, is that the Brigadier and Kate Stewart have met 11 incarnations of the Doctor altogether, both of them.
Wow. That's mad.
Yeah.
11.
Is it a family question to write? Yeah. Wow. I think. Did I just read that right? Yeah.
I can't even... Oh, yeah, because I keep forget about Kate. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
So Kate and the Brigadier have met. Yeah. And then, yeah. I just thought that was a really interesting thing I hadn't thought about until I was writing the questions.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I remember I was working out, like, there's that big gap where the Brigadier went away and then came back during, like, the Fifth Doctor's era. And that gap, like, is genuinely not that different to Kate Stewart from her last appearance to Flux, which is mad. Like, it feels so long in classic. I know. Yeah. And she's back again. She's back again this month, which is exciting.
We just watched Resolution, and it's so nice watching that and knowing what they do with Unit later, because I think it just, at the time, felt so wrong and weird and stupid, and now it makes so much sense. Like, who had a plan for Unit, which is nice.
Absolutely love it. Love it. And I love Unit. I want to see more Unit. And we are seeing more Unit because, we see things behind the scenes. And next question is from Will Shaw at Will_S_7 on Twitter. They've asked, what makes for a good episode to write a quiz question about?
Ooh. That's really hard because you can write a quiz question about anything if you, you can pull out anything. What makes for a good episode? I think actually, because I read this question on Twitter before you asked this, but with writing quiz questions is that you can take concepts and characters and moments out of a story that you might otherwise like not enjoy, but actually when you're writing the question, you're like, oh, that's quite an interesting concept. Like, you could be like, I'm just trying to think of an episode that people don't like. You could be like, in what episode do the trees save the Earth? Do the trees come and save the Earth from a solar flare or whatever it was, a solar? I can't remember. And like, that's a really interesting concept. A lot of people don't like In the Forest of Night. I love In the Forest of Night, but you can ask those types of questions and ask about. So I guess like it doesn't really matter if it's. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could really be anything. Like, it's not like I think it's more interesting concepts, because there are some episodes that we all like really, really love that you could ask a question about, but maybe like the concepts might not be as exciting. Do you know what I mean? So I think it just really depends on what the actual ideas are in the episode, whether or not the episode doesn't really matter if the episode's good or not, or if it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It definitely does make sense. It definitely does. Like, I know a lot of people don't like Kill the Moon, but I mean, they're wrong. But
Yeah.
they like that's an episode where the concept, there is so many quiz questions you could write about Kill the Moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting that a good episode, not necessarily I can't talk tonight. A good episode, not necessarily great for quiz questions, but can be, and vice versa.
It's just you can pick anything out of an episode and talk about it. It's kind of like, I guess, episodes with big ideas and big characters are obviously easy to ask questions about, because you're like, all right, well, I remember the Pating from that story, so I use the Pating or whatever.
We all remember the Pating. We love
Who
the
doesn't?
Pating. Love the Pating. And then we've got one final question, which I think this is my foray. These are my first steps into hard-hitting journalism, asking the important questions and getting to the heart. You write for the Radio Times, but I'm coming for the Crown with the help of Joseph Lidster. Everyone's favourite Sarah Jane writer, undoubtedly. Mine, anyway. At Joseph_Lidster on Twitter, as if you didn't already know. Joseph has asked a very important question. When are we going for a coffee?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think I told him that I'd go for a coffee, well, that we would have coffee like last December, and we haven't done it. So soon, because I actually just got a new job. So between jobs, when I have some time off, we will go for a coffee, which should be towards the end of October. There we go.
Lovely. Well, I hope you enjoy your coffee, guys.
Thanks. We'll have to take a selfie and be like, we finally got that coffee. Thanks to Who Knew.
Do it. Yes. Yeah. Who Knew is promoting you two getting a coffee. So go and get a coffee. So we're coming close to the end of the show, which is sad. It's always a sad time, but it is also a happy time because it means we get to take a little trip down that wonderful corridor of fame.
Have you ever been limited by who you were before?
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing.
Sarah Jane?
Do I have the right?
For some people, small, beautiful events is what life is all about.
An anniversary compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really
Every great decision creates ripples. Like a huge boulder dropped in a lake.
But it was a childish dream that made you a doctor. You dreamt you could help all.
I'm not just the time. I'm the last of the time.
Just disappears, doesn't it? Everything you are, gone in a moment, like breath on a mirror.
I do what I do because it's right. Because it's decent. And above all, it's kind.
Love abides in the face of everything.
So the Corridor of Fame is basically a Hall of Fame for Doctor Who, and down this corridor there are many portraits of the greats from Doctor Who. There's so many names in there now that it's actually getting quite difficult for my guests to determine who's in and who's not. So I apologise because the list is getting long, but let's keep it going. And let's add another name in there. So, Beth, who would you like to submit to the Corridor of Fame?
Yeah, so when you asked me this, I kind of was trying to think of someone who's like a little bit of an unsung hero. And I would like to add Nikki Wilson to the Corridor of Fame.
Right.
Nikki Wilson has been a script editor. So I think she started out as a script editor on Doctor Who in like Russell's era and on Sarah Jane stuff. And then I think she became producer later. I can't remember at what point, maybe at the beginning of Jodie's era, and then she was exec producer on Flux. And I think she's like definitely one of like, I think the thing is when you look at Doctor Who, when you look at the main like directors and writers and people that make it, there are women there, but a lot of them just like don't seem to see the same recognition. I don't know if it's because they're not at the forefront of it. Like maybe if the showrunner or a lot of all the main writers were like women, maybe you would be like, okay, there's more women that work on Doctor Who. But she's one of those people that I think is a really good example of women who have worked on Doctor Who for a really long time and have like worked on it so in different capacities and like worked her way up on the show. And like when you watch her in interviews and stuff, because she's in a lot of the behind the scenes stuff for Joe Lidster that I've just been watching, she's so passionate about the show, really cares about it. She like, you know, she's one of us really, and has been there this whole time on New Who. And I just think she's a bit of an unsung hero, because I don't really know many people, if I said her name to them, that they would really know who she was. They'd maybe know her name, but they wouldn't maybe know that she's an exec producer or script editor, all of this amazing stuff that she's done on the show. I would love to know like how much of her is in it, like what bits that she brought to the table. But I guess we don't. That's the thing. We just don't know that as much. But I think when you think about Doctor Who, there's so many people that have like worked on it for a long time. You're like, yeah, they're a Doctor Who person. I just don't think she gets that same recognition. So I wanted to put her in the corridor of fame.
Yeah, it's a wonderful pick. I did have a little peek at the credits, and there are so many on there that I can't even make sense of it. She's
done a lot
on the show for so long, and the fact that it's very rare to find someone, I think, that's been on the show in all 3 eras of New Who, and has sort of lasted all of this time and has sort of progressively gone up the ranks. I mean, started as script editor, which is quite a heavy role in Doctor Who anyway, but yeah, so many credits, and I feel like it is one of those names that goes under the radar, because especially with Doctor Who, I don't think any other program on the planet puts more focus on showrunners than Doctor Who does. Like, they get so much press and so much attention, for better or for worse. Like mainly for worse. They get absolutely tortured most of the time, especially over the past few years.
It's a hard thing to be in the spotlight, and maybe that's why there are women like Nikki Wilson that don't put themselves in the spotlight, because or my friend Gabby.
You can't blame her.
Yeah, like my friend Gabby's just worked on Doctor Who since end of 2017. I don't think anybody even knew. Like, she was basically like the brand manager, editorial person, and she never put herself out online and was like, "This is what I do," because I think it's hard for women to do that in a world like Doctor Who. And it's not always. Sometimes it's like, it's not everyone that would be hateful, but there is a chance of that, and that does happen. And it doesn't surprise me to find out that there are like women behind the scenes that don't get as much recognition, because it's kind of harder. Maybe there are other reasons. Maybe it's just she might just think of it as like her job, and I don't know. But I just think she definitely deserves.
But it's nice as well, because it's nice to remember that it's not just like Chris Chibnall in a room making Doctor Who on his own, and he's not the one making every decision. And it's nice for the fact of, maybe people can give him a break and give everyone else a break who's making the show, but also that there's so many voices that go into this program, and that sort of community is at the heart of the show. It always has been, whether it's the fans or the people making it. And yeah, it's a great pick, definitely an unsung hero. And who knows, Nikki Wilson may just work on the show forever, because she's been there for so long. Amazing, absolutely amazing, great pick, absolutely great pick. And we've come to the end of the show. I mean, it's been wonderful to have you on. Thank you for joining me. Before we go, I do have one last question, which I ask everybody. But obviously this took a break during Flux, so you didn't have to answer it then, but now you do. This is the trade-off for not having Quiz Chibnall. Roughly, in a sentence, what does Doctor Who mean to you?
That's basically what my whole book is about, to be honest.
It's this, guys.
Available from
all good bookstores.
I wrote an introduction to the book, which is basically about like what Doctor Who means to me and the fandom, and then like every section has, what do the Daleks mean to us as a monster or a villain, and all of that. So like that, a lot of the book has got that sort of thing in it. What does Doctor Who mean to me? I think It's so hard to say it one sentence. A place of hope where there rarely is any in life, if that makes sense. It's a place of hope where so much of life is so difficult.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lovely answer. That's a lovely
I
answer.
was like, how do I explain that?
And again, for more on that, read the book. If you want to know more, that's a lovely little one sentence tidbit. But it's been an absolute joy having you on, and it's been an absolute joy delving into this. Gonna plug it again. It's coming out. Did you say it was the 13th?
13th of October, yeah.
13th of October. So I imagine by the time this is out, it'll be either on or around when this is coming out. So go out and grab yourself a copy go down to Asda or Waterstones. Go and get it off a shelf. How exciting is that?
Yeah.
How exciting is that? And it's got a nice new book smell. I'm not gonna lie. Love a new book smell.
It has such a good smell. When I opened it, I was like, oh my God, it smells like...
It just smells like Waterstones. And I love that. But yeah, this is such great fun, and I am always eager to see what you do next, because it's always very exciting, whether it be this or whether it be one of your Radio Times articles. I even was listening to you debating on the radio about Doctor Who, which was so much fun. So much fun to listen to. So if that's still available anywhere, go hunt that down, because that's great fun.
I might have to post it somewhere, because I think somebody recorded it for me. But I don't like listening to my voice. So I was like, I probably wouldn't ever listen to that debate back. But
me neither. But I do this. So
no, but you have a good voice. You have like a good, strong. Like I can imagine you reading like audiobooks and stuff. Like I could listen to your voice. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, if you ever write a book and need someone to read the audiobook, I'm there.
There we go. Sorted.
There we go. Well, again, it's been lovely having you on. Before you go, this is your time to plug. Obviously, again, plug the book again. Go for it. But just plug whatever you want, wherever people can find you.
Yeah. So you can buy the book in Asda, Food and Planet, Waterstones, The Works from the 13th of October. And you can find me at Oh My Stars on Twitter with a 0 and a 4. You'll have to work that out yourself.
Wherever they go.
And also, I also do a Doctor Who project with my friend Imogen, where she illustrates Doctor Who poems and words and things that I write, and that's at Doctor Who on Instagram.
Yes, I just forgot to mention that. So
no, it's okay. We don't do them that often, to be honest, so it's hard to remember.
They are so beautiful. They are lovely, and they are on my list of things to buy, because I want to flood this wall with prints and things. So I want to get one for somewhere back here, something Jodie related.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, and all of the links and everything, I'll put the link to the book, I'll put your Twitter, and I'll put the link to your Radio Times articles and things like that. It'll all be in the description. So if you want to check out more of Beth's stuff, have a look down below. And you've been listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Josh Ryan Carr. You can find the podcast at Who Knew Podcast on Twitter as well. I'm now delving into TikTok. So I don't know what I'm doing. But there'll be podcast clips, and I'll probably just do stupid little videos on there as well. So you can find that at Who Knew Podcast again. You can email us at whoknewdwpod, and you can support us on Patreon for as little as £1 a month. You can get extra little goodies. You can get early access to these podcasts. You may be listening to it now early, so good for you if you are. But obviously times are tough. There's no obligation, but it's there if you wanna back the pod. And you can even buy a t-shirt as well with our lovely little logo on. You want one? You can get one. I want one too. I haven't got one yet. I should probably buy one of my... I really need to get some of my own merch, but I have to buy it. I don't get it for free. Yeah, I'll have to buy it. But I also feel a bit... Is that a bit wanky? Just...
No, I've got a Time Ladies mug from when I did the Time Ladies.
There you go then. I've got to do it. I've got to get some of my own merch. I've got to get a hoodie or something. So yeah, and you've been listening to Who Knew. Beth, thank you once again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be back next week with a very fun episode with the writer of the TV movie Matthew Jacobs, and
cool.
and also Matthew's co-director Vanessa Yule from their new documentary Doctor Who Am I, which is very good. I've seen it.
Oh, have you? That documentary is out in the cinemas on the same day as my book.
Oh my god! Well, there you go.
So I don't know if I'm going to get to see it.
Oh no! Well, hopefully you do get to see it because it's very, very good. It's really, really good. Anyway, I can't say anything else than that. But thank you all for listening. Thank you, Beth, once again for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Massive thank you to all of our patrons, and especially Cal King. If you want to become a patron, you can join for as low as £1 a month and get loads of benefits and support the pod. Check out the link in the description. Thanks for listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts and now on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you can, as it really helps us out. And a massive thanks to the Sononauts for lending their cover of the Doctor Who theme to be the theme for the podcast.